Hey, let's bring in maybe the future Speaker of the House, Minority Leader Kevin McCarthy. Congressman, what's at stake here? What do you hope emerges from this meeting?
Well, I really wished and I hoped that I'd hear about the Abraham Accords, the ability to build on that. Think about the flights that were already lifted. Think about the relationships that were already created, but set back with this Biden administration when they stopped working on the Abraham Accords or when they renewed the discussions with Iran. It reset the Middle East with all that growth, all that relationship that was built in that last administration under President Trump. It was a real setback. And let's be honest, the only reason President Biden is going to Saudi Arabia is to beg for them to produce more oil. What does that mean? Because he stopped it in America. And when he stopped it in America from his very first day, what that meant was American jobs were lost. We're going to pay more for gasoline, but it goes more than just the gasoline. It goes into our asphalt, into the buttons in our shirts, into our phones. It's almost in everything that we produce. But this is what started the rise in inflation. And then what even Steve Ratner says is the original sin, the American Rescue Plan, that $1.9 trillion that only passed because Democrats control the House, Senate, and White House. It was only Democrats that pushed that through. And now with the latest inflation numbers, if you have a constant paycheck for the last year, you have now just worked more than a month for free. That's what they've took from you. That was the Pelosi pay cut.
Congressman, let's take a listen, if we could, together to Mike Wirth. He's Chevron chairman and CEO, and he's talking about the rhetoric from the Biden administration over the last, well, through the entirety of the administration when it comes to domestic production. Listen.
People are not holding back supply. People are not slow walking anything. They're producing as much in the refining system as is possible. We're price takers. We see high prices say consume less, produce more. That's exactly what's underway right now. And I think it's part of the reason why we're seeing prices come down. The industry is responding with increased production. We need to see rhetoric and messaging that indicates that our country supports increased production.
Leader McCarthy, help me make sense of this. If there's a general antagonism towards fossil fuels and driven by sort of this climate ideology, why punish domestic production but go open arms to the Saudis? You would think you'd be opposed to it everywhere.
You would think so, because even if you cared about the environment, know this: American natural gas is 41% cleaner than Russian natural gas. How are you going to get that Saudi Arabian oil to America? Through a tanker. It is safer in a pipeline, but they deny pipelines. You know, God blessed America to be able to be energy independent, but they can't put a new rig, if you look to Pennsylvania and others, for more natural gas. Why? Because government has stopped the pipeline. They can't move it. When you look to the American worker in California, where Chevron is based, they have stopped production, renewing permits. So you know what they did? They decreased production by 20%. That's 80,000 barrels a day. And now they were getting 50,000 barrels from Russia. The number one producer for California now is Ecuador. What does that do to the environment? It doesn't make any sense. Let's make America energy independent. Let's create American jobs, good paying, but environmentally in a more sound, safe way to produce it.
You know, what doesn't make sense is that after Russia invades Ukraine, so many countries say we're not going to take oil from Russia anymore because we don't want to fund what they're doing to the Ukrainian people. Yet we will go over to Saudi Arabia and we will take their oil, even though they're giving drones to Russia. They're selling drones to Russia so that they can fight against the Ukrainian people. It doesn't make sense. Isn't that so hypocritical?
Very hypocritical. You know what's even worse about this, Ainsley, is that how Biden handled this. You know, Biden went through and says he's going to put these sanctions on Putin. Putin now got a 50% increase to pay for this war because he upped the price of oil. And you know who's improving from this? China gets a discount to buy that oil. So China gets an advantage over America. Why America sits here at a disadvantage with less jobs, paying more for gasoline, instead of bringing that price down to $2 a barrel. You know what that would do to inflation? You know what that would do to your pocketbook or to every American family that is struggling today? They now have to pay more and get nothing for it, and he travels all the way to Saudi Arabia to beg them to go against everything he said in a campaign, simply because his policies from day one have denied America to be energy independent, to have American jobs, and to be more environmentally sound. It's unbelievable. And the CEO of Chevron is right. Mike is correct. That rhetoric, I just did a roundtable with producers yesterday. It was the #1 thing they brought up. They go after the banking community not to fund. And remember, this is a complete Democratic Party. Remember when they brought in all those CEOs and made them swear their hand in? And the #1 question the Democrats asked them, will you promise to produce less next year?
When
Then they question why the price is higher?
Of course. And, you know, the Saudis will turn around and just say, hey, by the way, why don't you drill more? It's not like this is rare earth that's only located in the Congo. We got more oil than Saudi Arabia. But Congressman, I want to bring you to this. Just a yes or no answer. Were you told that a deal was offered to the Iranians, handed to them, and it was up for them to accept? Because I haven't met a lawmaker that even knew about it until the president blurted it out yesterday.
We know nothing of it, and that goes against every agreement, every bill that we passed. He needs to inform Congress, and he has not.
You have no idea what he promised then, because the word is it's going to be trillions of dollars.
As the leader of the minority party in Congress, I have never been briefed on this from the White House. I have no knowledge of this. And do the American people have any knowledge of it? No. But it will not make the world safer. It will make us in a worse position and the future more challenging. Remember what people have said about President Biden for the last 40 years. Every foreign policy decision he made has been wrong. We've watched it in Afghanistan, we've watched it in Ukraine now, and we're watching it on a stage in the day and just the timing as it's being delivered, what he has done to the Middle East when the Abraham Accords took us to a whole new position to bring peace into the Middle East. He reversed the course of history.
Well, Congressman, I don't know if you know this, but you're up to the shenanigans again. The Republicans have been seizing on things.
Yes.
You took a break from pouncing, and I believe you're now into seizing, according to the New York Times. Let's take a look at this headline. Democrats face deepening peril for the midterms as Republicans seize on inflation fears. You know, always nefarious, these seizing and pouncing moments of real inflation fears. But it's everyone predicting and anticipating real midterm gains for Republicans. I'm curious, what do you expect? What is your prediction for what happens this fall?
I hope we have a change in course to save this country. I mean, I think if you look back for one moment to just the special election recently happening, if I told you Republicans are going to run in a campaign that has a seat that's 84% Hispanic, the second most Hispanic seat in the country, that Biden won it by 13 a year and a half ago and Obama won it by 22, that Republicans have never held it in more than 100 years, you would question whether we can win it. Mayra Flores proved we can win that seat. And if we can win a seat that Biden won by 13, we can challenge a lot of seats across this country. We can have a reshift in this nation where we become energy independent. We have a secure border. Parents have a Bill of Rights to have a say in their kids' education. We stop the crime and the homelessness that we're watching across to deteriorate our cities, our communities that are happening. All that can shift because all that was created by a Democratic policy that had a one-party rule in Washington, D.C., and we can give them a check and balance and hold them accountable. That an attorney general can't go after parents for going to school board meetings. We could finally have a hearing on where the origins of COVID started, and we can learn why Afghanistan happened the way it did so it never happens again to our military.
Maybe find out what Hunter's up to without asking Jeanine Pirro to do a special. Congressman, do you expect, if you become Speaker, do you expect Nancy Pelosi to go into the minority again or retire?
I don't know what she's going to do, but I'd expect her to hand me that gavel if people join us. I think anybody that's interested in this, that wants to change the country, if they just go to takethehouse.com, they can join with us to make sure Nancy Pelosi is retired once and for all.
All right, she can go back to Italy if she retires.
Really? She can go visit.
Well,
Yeah, go visit the Pope again.
She goes to Europe every single month. It's like a farewell tour.
Let's see. Let's see.
Leader McCarthy,
I'm going to get her a
you.
T-shirt.
Right.
All right.
What is it going to say? I am not a taco. Leader, thank you.
Thank you so much.
I'm Steve Ducey.
I'm Brian Kilmeade.
And I'm Ainsley Earhart. And click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis.